This is a Lima Class 37 I bought from eBay as a non-runner with a missing brush. After cleaning the commutator plate, fitting spare brushes, and resoldering a broken pickup wire, it was running again. However, it seemed to have poor contact. The motor was very jittery and at times would stop altogether. When I tapped the chassis, it would restart. I found that if I connected the power directly to the trailing pickup wire, it ran fine. This led me to check the pickups in the trailing bogie. I did not find the expected pickup strip. Instead, someone had wrapped some steel wire around the axles and pinion. It was not making good contact, especially on the pinion. So I removed the steel wire, cleaned everything up with a cotton bud and IPA, and fitted some thin copper wire, ensuring that it was not overly tight on the axles, but making good contact with the pinion. This seems to have resolved the issue. It now runs without cutting out or any jitter at all. I then turned my attention to cleaning the gears. Firstly, undoing the 3mm hex nuts, then removing the gears. This revealed the sticky grease and grime which had accumulated over time. Using tweezers, the fluff and any fibres wrapped around the gear axles were removed. Then cotton buds and IPA break down and remove the old grease and dirt. It cleaned up very nicely. The gears were wiped clean next. Before reassembling, a small amount of silicone grease was applied to each gear axle. Then a drop of oil is added to each end of the armature shaft. A quick test to ensure all the gears are aligned and running smoothly. A small amount of silicone grease was added to the gears. Not too much, as with this open design, it will end up on the wheels. Once the grease was run through, it sounded much smoother and quieter. Next, the lighting. For the front lights, 1mm 0603 LEDs in warm white and red for the rear. 1mm fibre optic cable, cut into 3mm lengths, was glued to each LED. I found cutting was easier if held in a lollipop stick. Each LED was held in place on blue tack. It was tricky to place the fibre optic in the correct place. Looking directly down through a magnifying glass, with the LED dimly lit, ensured the fibre optic is located directly over the LED. Painting it black, apart from the end of the fibre optic, eliminates any light bleed. Colouring the red ones with a red permanent marker, to give a red lens effect when the light is off. For the headlights, there are lenses already fitted that can be used. But for the rear lights, a 1mm hole was drilled through the body where the rear lenses are moulded. The front lenses happen to have a 1mm hole already in place. This makes things easier. The inside of the body was painted black to avoid any light bleed, especially where the cab was to be fitted. The lights were then inserted into place. Held in position using black tack. It doesn't look tidy, but by not using glue, they can be removed or changed out without damaging the body. And here they are powered up to test they are working. For the interior cab light, an LED wrapped in Kapton tape gave the desired yellow effect. Secured in place with black tack to the roof of the cab, the cable was painted black so it was less visible. Next, 3 0.5mm holes were drilled in the cab instrument cluster, ready for the red, green and blue instrument lights. Also, holes will be drilled into the rear to backlight each dial. These were each marked out and carefully drilled to within 1mm of the back of the dials. 10mm lengths of 0.5 fibre optic were used for the instrument lights. Red LED for the red. A white LED with the end coloured green using a permanent marker. And the same here but with blue. To backlight the dials, 4 of the fibre optic lengths were glued to one LED. I next picked out some details on the cab interior and painted using Humbrol acrylics. And the same with the cab bulkhead. Next, the 4 fibre optics were glued into the holes behind the dials. The fibre optics for the instrument lights were then glued in place, the ends flush with the instrument panel face. Finally, it was all painted, blackening out any light bleed. Giving it a test, I was very happy with the effect. The seats were then painted and set in place. Along with the driver, it was difficult to seat him in the correct position. I had to cut the poor old boy's arms off at the elbows and raise them a little higher. But overall I think it looks okay. The cab was held in the body with black tack, as with everything else. It can easily be removed without damaging the body. Cocktail sticks were cut down and glued in place to secure the bulkhead to the cab, then painted black. It was at this point I ran into a problem I had not anticipated. Up until now I had been testing using a DC controller. Now it's powered from the motor. The red LEDs were flickering due to the back EMF current from the motor. If it was this bad on the rolling road, it would be much worse on the track. This proved a real challenge to resolve. I will put more details around this in another video. But basically the solution I landed on was to wire a capacitor across each lighting circuit, with a resistor across the capacitor rapidly discharging the unwanted reverse current. All the wiring was finally completed. Fortunately, there is plenty of space for everything in this locomotive. I tried to keep everything as neat as possible, but there was a lot to fit in. Again, using black tack so it can all be removed without issues. With the lighting circuit connected to the meter, I tested the amp draw. I set the motor running forward. It was only 20 milliamps with the lights, cab, backlit dials and instrument lamps all lit. A 2-pin microplug is used so the body can be removed from the chassis for maintenance. The 2-pin socket is the only part where glue was used. This will keep it firmly held in the chassis. With the plug pushed home, the body can be fitted back on the chassis. After cleaning the wheels, it was put back onto the rolling road to see how it looks. I am quite happy with the overall result.